I was around 9 or 8.
It was 2003 when this girl's childhood ended.
I didn't know really what was happening.
And years later,
I tried to fight back when he tried to get close to me.
she says she still has the emotional scars from the sexual abuse she suffered.
I actually had an attempted suicide.
But this should never have happened because police knew the suspect, Hilario Sanchez Vargas, was a danger to children. A police report from 1999 alleges he raped 2 children back then, but he remained free for years.
Does that make you angry?
Yes, because I feel like none of this would have happened if they would have got him when they should have.
If you think that story is unique, think again. During our investigation, we looked at 16,000 cases, 16,000 young victims right here in the Valley. So many, they would fill the seats at U.S. Airways Center.
We requested data from 7 Valley police agencies and compared the number of child sex crimes reported over 6 years to the number of cases that were forwarded to prosecutors. The results were eye-opening. At the bottom end, just 18% of the child sex crimes reported to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office were forwarded for prosecution. At the high end, 33% of the cases reported to Scottsdale police were forwarded. The rest of the departments fell somewhere in between. Overall, just 23% of the child sex crimes resulted in prosecutions.
A 23% prosecution rate is indefensible.
Scott Berkowitz is the president of RAIN, the country's largest anti-sexual violence advocacy group.
That might lead people to believe that 7 out of every 10 kids are making it up.
No, the FBI has collected stats on false reporting, and the rate is only about 5%, which means 19 out of 20 cases they're telling the truth.
The result is thousands of child molesters are getting away with it here in the Valley.
You may have evidence that something happened, but you can't necessarily prove it in a court of law. And that is one of the most frustrating parts of our job.
Detective Brooks Scritchfield works for Scottsdale Police, which had the highest overall prosecution rate, but still only 33%.
Are you satisfied with that number?
I don't think we'll ever be satisfied until you could say we had 100% or you had no need for our unit at all because people weren't hurting children.
Detectives we spoke to during our investigation described some overwhelming challenges. Victims too young to effectively describe what happened. No physical evidence in many cases. No witnesses. Delays in reporting the abuse. And a high turnover rate among child crimes detectives.
All these things play into it, and they make it very difficult to investigate these types of crimes.
Tracy Breeden works for the Glendale Police Department, which had a prosecution rate of 19%.
It's difficult to see, and we don't want to see a perpetrator walk away and continue to do these things. But some of these challenges we just can't overcome.
Even with the best resources, we've learned that many of these crimes are just impossible to prove. But we did find cases, and lots of them, where police departments hardly did any detective work.
At MCSO, we've reported that Special Victims Unit detectives were routinely diverted to the sheriff's pet projects, like immigration enforcement. The result, more than 400 cases fell through the cracks. At Phoenix PD, an internal audit showed nearly half of the cases in the Child Crimes Unit over a 2-year period were not completed according to policy. Now they're reviewing or re-investigating more than 2,800 cases.
What we were doing was we were piling on new cases day after day, month after month, year after year to the same number of detectives, and we believe without giving them adequate management and adequate training.
Since that audit, they've doubled the size of their child crimes unit.
There were lots of cases that appear to have fallen through the cracks. Do you think this police department owes something to the community?
We can't go back on some of these cases and make these victims whole, and we know that. What we're trying to ensure is that it never happens again.
But experts say the reality is that the predators who avoid arrest don't stop with just one victim.
We know for a fact from all the academic research that rapists do this over and over. And, you know, it's kind of obvious why. They get away with it.
And that was the case with Hilario Sanchez Vargas, who avoided arrest from 1999 when police were first notified about him until 2012 when he was finally indicted. But the damage was done.
I have to tell myself that it wasn't my fault.
You think you'll ever get that across to the 8-year-old that's inside there wondering?
Hopefully.